Oh, hi. You know, towards the end of last year, I got myself a few Scale 200 models because I was a little bit curious. The FMB shop had, during their Cyber Monday sale, some really awesome Scale 200 models on offer. One of them was a Herpa snapfit model, which I was, well, curious about to see what that is about. And then they had a competition on offer called Limox Wings, and that model turned out to be actually even more interesting. But the more I started digging into what, well, Herpa offers in the Scale 200 market and what the competition offers, the more confusing it got. So today we will dig into this a little bit more and we'll talk about why Herpa is so confusing in Scale 200. To answer this, we need to take a step back. When we look at the options for collectors compared to scales 500, 400 and 200, the latter seems to be the scale with the biggest variety. In scale 500, we have an almost monopoly by Herpa. In scale 400, we have great variety with various manufacturers, but in scale 200, we don't just have many manufacturers, but we also have great variety in types of products. What do I mean by that? When we look at Scale 200 models, there are various price ranges from where you can choose models, each with their specific benefits and a level of detailing. There is of course also a difference depending if you are looking at narrow or wide body models, so mentioned prices are only rough estimates. I don't think there are official categories, but let me try. As I see it, we have what I would call a premium category, where models are highly detailed, made mostly out of metal, and prices range between 100 to 200 euros, sometimes even a little above that. Companies like Inflight 200, JC Wings or Gemini Jets offer models in that segment, and they are clearly the top of the pops. If you want the best quality, innovation, details en masse, both in print and in form of physical detailing, then you feel right at home here. But it is for sure also very expensive. Then there is a category underneath, in the price range mostly between 70 to 150 euros. This is where we find most of Herpa's premium Scale 200 products. And finally, we have the snapfit category. So Scale 200 models you still need to partially self-assemble, which usually are in the price range 20 to maybe 60-ish euros. Also in this category, Herpa models are on offer. So Herpa tries to play along in both the premium segment and the much more affordable snapfit segment. But in both of them, they end up not being that convincing. And even worse, Herpa ends up being their own competition. When we look at narrow-body premium models, Herpa is actually doing quite okay. It's probably where they are doing the best currently. Some years ago, I compared an Egypt Air A220 model made by Herpa and JC Wings alike, and Herpa for sure did well, and at the same price as JC Wings. It for sure also helps that Herpa by now has switched to all metal models for narrow-body aircraft in Scale 200. Any aircraft type smaller than the A220, however, is also made out of metal, but the price is bizarre. I reviewed a Dash 7 in Scale 200 some time ago, which had an official retail price of 80 euros. When you know that it hardly uses more material or has more prints than a Scale 500 A380 from Herpa, but costs 30 euros more, it just makes the price much more questionable. But as I said, narrow-body premium Scale 200 models is where Herpa does best currently. Because for the wide-body premium Scale 200 models, Herpa is still making them out of plastic. Yes, you heard right. Herpa thinks they can compete against Inflight 200 or JC Wings wide-body aircraft models with plastic models. Of course they can't, not on their materials used and definitely not on the detailing. The only advantage they have here is the price. But if a collector wants the top of the pops, they won't be looking at a subpar Herpa model and think, hey, I can save 100 euros, let me get that Herpa model instead of the much better alternatives. So for those who want the maximum detailing, Herpa isn't a viable option despite the lower price. And for those collectors who firstly are looking at the price of a model, well, they have the option of buying a 100 euro Herpa plastic model or get a much cheaper but not much less detailed snap fit model. And you of course remember that Herpa also plays on the snap fit market. But while they are a cheap option, they are also not the best option, not even close. I recently reviewed a Limox Wing snap fit model, and apart from having a fine amount of detailing for the price, it also came with landing gear, something Herpa snap fit models don't have. Don't get me wrong, I don't think Herpa snap fit models are bad and are a viable option in the more price-sensitive part of the market. But for very few euros more, you can get much better alternatives. Alternatives that can rival Herpa's widebody premium products, but for half the price. Now, the good news for collectors is, of course, that there are many options in Scale 200. And we are not dependent on only one manufacturer to deliver what we want. Something we can currently only dream of in Scale 500. But while Herpa's products in Scale 200 aren't bad, they mostly can't keep up with the competition. Herpa's choice in materials used and detailing offered compared to the competition is strange, and at times is in competition with their own products. And this is why I think Herpa Wings in Scale 200 is so confusing.